Are you letting me win? Or do you just suck at this?
Keep playing and you'll find out.
Ooh, the games the Hive is playing with our girl Carol are getting intense. Their manipulation is better. Their charm, it's working. And it's getting harder for her to stay locked on her end goal and to remember why she rejected the Hive in the first place. There's a lot going on in this episode and some big clues in Carol's Wycaro novel that might actually point to how the world gets saved. So let's break it down. So it turns out it's not only Carol that's on the charm offensive, it's the Hive. Both are trying to manipulate and feel each other out, learn more information about their enemy for control. And it's funny that at first, Carol, she's kind of acting all nervous and polite while she's hosting Zosha. It's like an extremely awkward first date. She finally gets around to asking the get-to-know-you type questions. Where are you from? What's your favorite food? Where do you live? And I think she asks these both to actually bond and connect with someone after being alone, but also she's gaining intel. Carol and Zosha even do normal couple stuff like hiking and getting massages.
How about a board game?
I want to play a game.
Now, when Zosha suggests they play a board game, it's funny because they're already playing games, mind games, and they play the game of Spit. It's a game about being the quickest in both brain processing and physical speed. You need to act fast as soon as you process the information that you see on the cards in front of you. And this seems very fitting to the overarching game that's being played between the Hive and Carol. Make a move before the opponent. If they do first, it changes the landscape. You have to process new information now and adjust your move.
Are you letting me win? Or do you just suck at this?
Keep playing and you'll find out.
They want to keep Carol distracted and engaged in this back and forth. They know they have the upper hand. The fact that she begged them to come back shows it.
Chess.
Jesus, no.
Also, you're missing a white rook, remember?
Carol's trying to play chess with the Hive mind, and she doesn't even have all the pieces. They have an unfair advantage. They are always a few steps ahead, despite her learning new information about the Hive every day. They get to pick and choose. They manipulate what information she receives. Like, if you think about it, if they really didn't want to reveal an apple is round, for example, if you ask what shape is an apple, sure, they wouldn't outright say a lie like the apple's square, but they would say something like, oh, its shape is what nature intended. It's like the lie about preferring to be vegetarians, hiding the truth about eating people. Again, they manipulate the information she receives. They knew that revealing that they eat humans would upset the immune people, which I think is based on what the majority of humanity believed to be wrong and disgusting prior to the joining. Now look, I'm sure out of the 8 billion in the world, there was bound to be a few Hannibal Lecters out there, but this isn't based on what the Hive's understanding is of morals. It's purely based on data and what would make the immune people more comfortable, more happy, picking what information to share so they can manipulate them. There isn't really anything out there that truly, objectively makes every single human happy. No true universal good for humanity. I mean, most people would enjoy a massage, but I'm sure there's some out there who just don't like to be touched. Most people, they would enjoy love, sex, but there are some who are asexual or something like that. Most people would even agree that stopping harm across the world is good, but some people think it's necessary or even take joy in harming others. So when Zosha says the massage feels good and that she enjoys it, I call bullshit. She's not necessarily lying. I think she's going off of data and what would make Carol happy. Because for the Hive and how the virus affects their feelings and their ability to be happy, well, to them, happiness is driven by one thing only, to spread the virus. Whenever they talk about how things feel, both emotionally and physically, I think their definition is a little different because they have no real intentions or desire to seek personal enjoyment. It's all tied to the collective and their biological imperative. And right now, the first step to completing their goal of happiness is to get Carol and the other immune on board with the Hive. Charm them so they want to consent and join the Hive. So it's a big part of why the Hive is getting more and more manipulative, more strategic with how they're charming Carol, especially before Manusos can get to her. Now, all the stuff Mr. Diabate has done with the Hive, the little play sessions and the casino and all that, well, I think it's taught the Hive on how to perform in ways that feel more believable, more natural.
This isn't going to turn into the orgy scene at the end of that Matrix movie, is it?
Not unless you wanted to.
They've learned to joke, to use sarcasm. It wasn't too long ago they didn't quite get the joke and the sarcasm Carol had used when she asked for a grenade. But they're learning. The more they interact with Mr. Diabate and the other immune and Carol, they adjust. I know we've harped on this a lot in other episode reviews, but again, it's a lot like how ChatGPT adjusts its personality. It learns over time what type of responses and language a person likes.
We're doing that. Okay.
They're also playing on Carol's nostalgia as part of the manipulation, instead of just playing out her fantasies like they do with Diabate. They know she wants things to go back to the way they were, and they know that how even recently she's been reminiscing about Helen and their years together. Nostalgia is a real psychological thing. I mean, people tend to remember the past through rose-colored glasses. It can boost mood, create a sense of connection, give life meaning even, which is why it works so well. It's also why it gets used as a tool. Corporations, they use nostalgia all the time in marketing, the reboots that we see all the time, and throwbacks. Think about Make America Great Again. It's a perfect example. Idealize a past, ignore all the bad parts, and sell it as something that we can return to. That's exactly what Zosha and the Hive are doing. She brings up playing cards with Carol's cousins and takes Carol to play croquet.
I swear to God, when I was a kid, I used to crush this game.
We know.
The whole diner scene in the place where Carol first wrote Wycaro, all of it is meant to trigger that warm feeling. The message is simple. We can give this back to you, Carol. The Hive wants Carol to believe joining them means returning to the good old days, comfort, connection, and a version of the past that feels safe to her. And what's also interesting is in the Wycaro chapter that was released by Apple, it opens up with the main character, Lucatia, reminiscing about the past, time that she spent with Raban. The memories, a nice feeling, but not enough to truly heal her broken heart. And that's what Carol realizes, that these aren't the good old days, it's all fake, it's an act. None of it will actually replace what she lost with Helen.
You rebuild my favorite diner, jump for joy when I tell you I'm writing again, but it's all an act. It's manipulative bullshit because you know I haven't given up.
Now, moving on to Carol's side of things, her strategy to win this game with the Hive and to save the world. Going back to when the Hive was questioned about being vegetarian, Carol and the others, they didn't outright ask, do you eat people? I mean, if they did, that would be something the Hive can't really skirt around, right? It's like when Carol asked Larry if Helen enjoyed her book Bitter Chrysalis. Very direct question, and they couldn't wiggle their way out of that one. And when she asked Zosha about the cure, again, something they couldn't really play semantics with. But as with the cure questions, some they just won't answer. They start crying and shit, and it causes mass chaos, which obviously Carol wants to avoid. So what she needs to figure out is how to ask the right questions, trick the Hive with similar word games and manipulation to get the information she needs without directly revealing what insights she's trying to gather, which she's actually kind of started to do in this episode. I want to talk a lot about the rules that she added to her whiteboard, the information that she's learned while on her charm offensive. To start, she adds that they eat people, showing that, unlike the rest of the immune people, that's not something she's willing to overlook. She also learns that they have their weird communal sleeping practices, their Cuddle Puddle, as Carol puts it.
It's more efficient to heat and cool one big room than hundreds of small ones.
And this thing was weird, right? Is it that much more efficient? It looks more like an emergency situation out of an urgent need, not efficiency. You know, like people seeking shelter in a natural disaster. And maybe it's because I'm not a spring chicken anymore, but doesn't it seem like it would hurt their bodies to sleep on the ground like that, not really be effective in allowing them to get a good night's rest? I know I would be a mess if I had to sleep like that. There's no way I'd be effective to do all the labor that's needed to build their massive antenna and spread the virus. And have we learned nothing from COVID? I mean, any sickness or cold or flu, it would spread like crazy here. Now, Carol, she seems to think it's possible this is part of the electromagnetic hive mind connection. Maybe the closeness or something is needed to charge them up. But this whole thing was just so weird, and I guess maybe that alone is kind of the point. It's also all but confirmed that the radio stuff with Manusos and the cell towers being down is part of the plot as it relates to how the hive mind works.
Something to do with the body's electromagnetic field.
Like radio?
In the real world, we already use electromagnetic tech like transcranial magnetic stimulation, TMS, to change brain activity. I mean, it's mostly used for depression and it's studied for other conditions too. But the idea that these electromagnetic signals could affect mood and make their emotions stable and happy, it makes sense. It's what keeps them calm, compliant, in their happy pluribus state.
Our communication is unconscious, homeostatic.
Their electrical signals are now regulated, automatic, like breathing. The radio signal is what keeps the balance, and maybe it even works alongside the Earth's electromagnetic field as some kind of natural amplifier or something. Electromagnetic signals can also trigger muscle activation, so there could be a physical side to it too.
Hitting a ball is muscle memory. You guys all share that too?
Maybe. Or maybe you just suck.
I think there is something there to the connection of the hive and how it impacts them physically. Notice how Zosha kind of cleverly avoids actually answering the question. It seems like this is important. And maybe Carol Manusos can even change or tweak the signal to control the hive physically, trigger their muscle memory to do what they want them to do. And then there's the other discovery that Carol writes on her board, that individuals feel. The hive, though, is just aware.
Does everyone feel what you're feeling right now?
To feel everything all at once would be unbearable. We know it as it happens.
The virus, it allows that passive communication, but it sort of ends there. They don't actually feel each other's pain or emotions, and that's intentional. If everyone in the hive fully experienced what everyone else felt, it would be too overwhelming. The brain couldn't handle that kind of constant emotional and sensory input, so the virus, it mutes it. It makes sense with how they seizure whenever Carol gets angry. It's too much on top of what they are already constantly taking in. And even the physical pain seems muted too. Zosha, she doesn't really react when she gets blown up by the grenade. Instead, smiles, and normal people, they would be crying and in extreme agonizing pain. Real empathy, it can exist because true empathy would mean sharing pain and sharing that emotion, and that would break their system. I think it further proves all the skepticism I have when it comes to Zosha connecting with Carol this episode. It's all an act because she can't truly feel real love or emotion towards Carol. When they say they love her, it's not in the same way we feel it as humans. Now, there's also one of the biggest reveals or confirmations, really, that the goal of the hive mind is to build a giant antenna and further spread the virus, share this gift with other worlds. If you haven't watched it, check out my breakdown of episode 6, where we talk about how this imperative to spread the virus is potentially an answer to the dark forest and Fermi paradox. Now, we find out that the hive doesn't seem to really know anything more than the scientists who found the original signal from Kepler 22b.
We probably never learn the first thing about them. We know we love them, and we're grateful to them. We have to share their gift with whoever else might be out there.
For all we know, that planet isn't even where the original virus came from. They could be one of hundreds or thousands of planets in a long line of infected worlds that continue to spread this gift. Now, I wonder about the use of the human electromagnetic field. Would it be required to deplete all of their human electricity to help power the antenna once it's built? Maybe all this efficiency and keeping track of how many mouths to feed and all that is part of that. They're racing against the 10-year clock of starvation to ensure they have the literal manpower to send the signal. Carol does make sure she writes down that the signal came from Kepler 22b, so I do wonder if it will matter, if the hive's supposed love for whoever sent it from there is indicating something about a potential invasion.
And we think their planet may be one enormous ocean.
I mean, Earth is 71% covered by water, so maybe it is a viable place for the Kepler aliens to come to. Any remaining humans that are left, well, they'll be pacified, and they can probably more easily share the Earth with them if they're aquatic species. And lastly, we also see on the board that Carol makes sure to note specifically about the trains and how they transport food. I mean, initially to me, it's kind of like, duh, we use trains, boats, trucks, all the same right now, right? So why is this important enough for her to take note? And also, if the hive is so efficient, it's been well over a month. Wouldn't most of them have relocated to a central location along with all that food? This would seem to be just a one-off delivery of the train to Albuquerque since the town moved back to support her. But also, why even move the whole city? They don't need that many people there to make it seem normal for Carol. I don't know. I'm sort of confused as to the importance of the whole train thing. Is she going to try to derail the trains, hold their food storage hostage? I mean, I don't know if that makes sense if she intends to save the people and not speed up their impending death. But maybe if they do intend to use the human electricity to send the signal to be the power source, they would want to keep people alive for as long as possible until that antenna is built and they can do that. And so this could potentially be good leverage. I don't know. We do hear Carol, though, mention her love for trains. I suppose it's fitting for Carol to like trains and maybe connect with them in a weird way.
It is the loneliest sound in the world.
A train horn isn't a conversation. It's a one-way signal. No response expected. The virus is exactly the same, only meant to be received. And that basically has been Carol's whole arc, too. She's moving forward on her own track, warning people as she goes, but not really connecting with them. And since the train is carrying dead bodies, well, it's kind of like Carol too, carrying the weight of the dead of Helen and the stolen lives of the rest of humanity. Now, Carol's obviously going through some very complicated feelings, to say the least. She just went through nearly 40 days of isolation. She's starved of human interaction. She wanted the Hive back not to just change up her strategy and learn more about how to combat the Hive, but also for attention. I think she may have surprised herself when she decided to sleep at that big facility with the Hive and join the Cuddle Puddle. But I just gotta say, I'm so disappointed in her for pulling a Mr. Diabate and getting with Zosha. I guess you could argue that in his situation, he was the initiator. He directed the Hive and cherry-picked women to sleep with, whereas in Carol's situation, the Hive was the initiator. They picked Zosha knowing that she was Carol's dream woman, Raban, and they had Zosha initiate the kiss and come on to Carol. But Carol knows better, man. And she, too, is trying to manipulate and charm the Hive to get information. I mean, she acted like she was on this moral high ground with Mr. Diabate, then essentially does what he did. Also, what the hell? I know people grieve in different ways, but Carol's partner, Helen, she was with her for over 20 years, and she died a little over a month ago. And she's already sleeping with Zosha? I mean, come on, lady.
The Mercator looking for something, anything, that might take her mind off Raban.
With a languid nod, Lucasia bade him follow to her cabin, regrettably that it would last but a single night.
Perhaps this is just a distraction for Carol, something that will only last one night. She's taken a page out of Lucasia's book in Wycaro, and that's just a small comfort for the deep pain she has for losing Helen. And, I know the point of the show is to pose all these moral questions and get you thinking. It is kind of a gray area, and it makes you wonder who's right, who's wrong. Was Carol groomed by Zosha and the Hive, or was it Zosha who was groomed? I'm kind of sad and disappointed overall that it happened, though, and I just guess I expected better. You know who would never? Manusos. And it seems like this is kind of the perfect setup for when Carol and Manusos finally meet. The title of the next episode is La Chica o el Mundo, The Woman or the World. Carol is going to continue to feel very complicated about the Hive, I'm sure. I don't know if she is starting to actually think Zosha is an individual making these choices or what, but Carol has a choice to make between having Zosha or saving the world. And also, it seems like a question. Is it the woman, the individual, or is it the world, aka the Hive, that she's fallen in love with? Carol has kind of played into the Hive's hand at this point. It's making her weak in her resolve to cure the virus because she knows it won't go back to how it was before. She can't get Helen back no matter what. But how the world is now, she can at least have Zosha.
Someone has to put the world right. Even if it means you all leave me again, it means that I'm...
And so maybe she will jump at the chance to not have to be the one, the savior. She'll let Manusos take that burden on because she's weak and she can't bear it. And we know Manusos, he would rather die from his wounds than give in to the Hive. On to Wycaro. Carol, she decides to write a new chapter for the Hive. And I'm just like sitting here, why did she write it? I'm having a hard time reading the motivation here.
We are just so excited to have something new to read.
Now, was she wanting to do something nice for the Hive after her bonding with Zosha? It's interesting to learn that they crave something new, or so they say. We already sort of learned that they can't be creative in the same way as humans when Carol had her convo with Larry back in episode 4. They could really only regurgitate already existing thoughts and ideas, but I'm kind of surprised that they would even have a want or desire for something new. I guess I just can't believe it. I feel like Zosha's excitement and talk about the new chapter was just more acting, more bullshit manipulation. So was this more of another test? Maybe her way to confirm what we all know, that Zosha is still part of the Hive, no real individual opinion, she just loves the novel no matter what Carol writes. I mean, changing Raban's sex is a huge change, something that you can't hand-wave with the real audience base in the real world, that would probably get ripped by her critics and fans. Or was it something that was more just for herself, part of her own healing journey? I mean, the fact that she slept with Zosha shows that she's in a dark place, needing to heal from feeling so broken and alone, and she's willing to take any form of comfort, no matter how fake it all is.
So you like it so far?
Carol.
I love it.
And just wanting to feel acceptance and some sort of human connection. So just hearing Zosha say how much she loved the book makes her feel good. I finally got to reading the excerpt from Carol's novel, Bloodsong of Wycaro. Apple, it released one chapter as sort of a teaser and fun supplementary content for the show. The release of this chapter, it also includes a letter from the author written as Carol, where she talks about why she chose to share this chapter. In it, she mentions how she loves to reference Greek mythology in her novels, and she specifically calls out the story of Sisyphus as her favorite. Now, even if you don't know the name, most people know the myth. Sisyphus is cursed by the gods to push a massive boulder up a hill for eternity. Every time he gets close to the top, the rock rolls right back down, and he has to start all over again. This was his punishment for his defiance and trickery against the gods. It seems to fit as a metaphor for Carol and her battle against the Hive. She thought she was clever, getting the English-speaking survivors together to end up having them reject her efforts. She thought she could trick the Hive into revealing a cure by drugging Zosha, but it ended up causing them to isolate her. It backfired. She also thought she was all sneaky, finding out about the eating people situation, but no one cared. She thought she could go at it alone, and she caved when it came too much. All of this has been kind of useless and frustrating efforts that fail, and every time it takes her right back to square one, over and over again. And then there's that Atropos mythology that we talked about in last episode's breakdown with the Georgia O'Keeffe painting. Zosha, she points out the painting again this episode and is sort of positioned below Carol like the two stacked belladonna flowers in the painting. It would seem to me this is a physical representation of them both playing a role in the fate of humanity like Atropos. Now, also in the chapter that was released, everyone on a ship is afflicted by a sickness that causes their skin to burn when exposed to the moonlight. Lucasia, she's the main protagonist, and she's sailing with her crew in a dangerous, deadly storm to an island where they hope to find a medical miracle. On the island is a healer named Madame Asclepius, who they hope can find a cure for this sickness. Now, Asclepius is a Greek god who represents the healing aspects of medicine. You know the symbol of a serpent around a staff that you might have seen in the medical field? Well, this is from him. He knew the secret knowledge of resurrection, bringing the dead back to life. Carol explains that releasing this chapter is for all the fans who need to know what happens to Raban. She decided that for those people who just want to skip ahead and know what happens, who don't mind a spoiler, well, here it is.
Raban is alive, right?
Maureen, you could read it.
So I can't help but think the big reveal for the show is in this chapter. Carol is Lucasia, facing a dangerous storm, traversing to the Isle alone to find a cure for all the people. On Lucasia's journey to the Isle, she even questions if her mind and body are falling to the curse, questions if there really even is a cure for her to fight for. This is a lot like where Carol is at now, sort of falling for the Hive's manipulation, her mind all sorts of fucked up after being alone for so long, her resolve being tested. But despite all the mental and physical taxation of this journey, Lucasia pushes on and finds the healer, Asclepius, in a cavern who helps her regain her strength and her resolve. And so in the cavern, she finds who but Raban. He was thought to be dead after Lucasia had no choice but to sentence him to walk the plank. But here he is, alive, weak and recovering, but alive. But the twist is Raban is not the same. He tells her, "I'm sorry, madame. Have you mistaken me for someone you know?" If this chapter is the spoiler, the big reveal for the show, then Carol, she'll probably go through another situation, hurting, almost killing Zosha, like when she yelled and caused a seizure, and when she blew up the house with a grenade, or when she drugged her. But this time, Zosha will be cured, not remembering who Carol is, detached from the hive and just her pre-virus self, resurrected from the dead. Maybe she'll have to travel somewhere like a cavern or a remote island or some other secure location where the hive signal cannot penetrate. And maybe the healer, Asclepius, in the novel is represented by Menusos, the healer who can resurrect the dead. Menusos knows the secret of the radio signal, and maybe he's the one who comes up with the idea that will cure Zosha. Earlier, we talked about how Carol needs to figure out the right questions to ask, how to beat the hive at their own manipulation game. And maybe that's where Carol's new chapters of the Wycaro series comes in. She could use the story as a cover, ask questions through the plot, frame things as research, and let the hive and Zosha answer without realizing what she's actually testing. The book becomes a stand-in for the real stuff she's trying to figure out. Or even better, she uses the writing as an excuse to travel, convince Zosha to go to an island to work on the book, when what she's really doing is testing whether the signal drops. Now, one more thing about Wycaro. The ship Lucasia sails on is called the Mercator. There's a famous geographer, cartographer, and cosmographer named Gerardus Mercator from the 1500s who pioneered global map-making and sailing navigation tools and practices that we still use today. He also charted the cosmos, created star maps with the goal to chart the universe. He understood Earth's magnetism too, and how it relates to navigating and using compasses and stuff. I gotta believe that Carol knows about this stuff with how she researches for her books. I mean, the name of the ship, to me at least, is an obvious reference to this guy. On Earth, there are hot spots and weak spots to the magnetic field, and so maybe she will figure out where this cavern that they need to go to that will block the hive signal. Maybe there's also something to understanding Kepler 22b, charting the stars and the universe too. If she can't fully cure the virus here, she can at least try to divert the signal the hive sends out to save a different world from this fate. And that's the end. As always, if you enjoyed this video, please ensure to hit that like button and subscribe to my channel for more breakdowns. I'd love to hear your thoughts and theories and ideas in the comments below. Special thanks to my channel members for throwing a little extra support my way. This means the world, and you really help keep this channel alive and going. Until next time, toodles!